Never thought I'd see this character on the big screen. And now for one of my personally favourite characters, Captain Marvel. Released in March of 2019 with a runtime of 2 hours and 8 minutes, directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck. Production budget of $152 million and a total box office taking of $1.12 billion. That is a lot of money. Starring Brie Larson, Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, and Jude Law. Captain Marvel? It was a very good time. I've had a lot of fun with this one. I've always been speculating about it, always been kind of hoping that it would happen, and then it finally did. And it was everything I wanted. I know it wasn't to a lot of people's tastes. There was a lot of controversy at the time when this one came out. It was actually getting touted as going to be the big failure, the greatest failed movie in the MCU, and it turned out to be one of the highest sellers. Yeah, go figure, really. Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel. I really enjoyed this version of Carol Danvers. A lot of people were upset that she was so emotionless. I personally saw a lot of emotion in this movie. There was a lot of subtle emotion, a lot of humor, a lot of warmth from her character. I'm not really sure what everyone's upset about. I think a lot of people were just hating for the sake of hating, or maybe they generally didn't like it. But then again, movies are quite, well, subjective or objective. Movies depend on the viewer. So if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's all there is to it. I myself enjoyed her character. You've got her commando squad, and I quite enjoyed them. Minerva and Atlas in particular. Korath's back. Ronan's back. He's just as cold and emotionless. He's just not the flat-out zealot fanatic this time. Jude Law does well as that guy. Didn't mind his character. Don't mind Jude Law in pretty much anything. I think he's always quite good value. Ben Mendelsohn did a fantastic job as Talos. Technically a bad guy, but then again, so is everyone else. There are no good guys, as he says. Both sides are bloody in this matter. It's a war. And then, of course, you got Coulson and Fury. Watching young little baby Coulson run around. His origin as a new agent. Then you got Fury's origin. Fury, the witty, charming, funny, still serious, but much more, carefree version of a very young Agent Fury. Samuel L. Jackson, as usual, delivers like an absolute boss. Everyone else are pretty much good value characters all the way through. There was no one really that let the team down. There were some fairly needless flags to the 90s, but it's set in the 90s. It was a nostalgia trip for most of us, and they played into that, and honestly it worked. I mean, for example, the music alone. The music was great. I know every single song. Unfortunately, I knew every single song in that movie. Well. But all the 90s tech and all the brands and the bands and the sayings and the look and the feel and the way it was filmed, the color gradients and just the camera angles. Quite often those 90s static shots as they panned around and the cut back and forth, all that sort of thing. It looked modern. You can't help that. But it was shot in many ways like a 90s action film. It's also a nice new take on the origin story template. Let's talk about the special effects quickly. They were gorgeous. This was a beautiful looking film. They really went all out on just the way that they brought the effects into play. Everything from Danvers' superpowers, which were well over the top and fantastic, and then just some of the heat wave effects I noticed, and some of the ways they moved the camera around into and out of focus, and the dream effects, the spaceships and space combat, all the laser blasts and explosions and flying around and dogfighting, all of that, all the effects they used in this movie just looked perfect. The dialogue and the banter in this was also very good. I wasn't expecting this much back and forth and fun. The Danvers and Fury buddy cop thing was really nicely done. They sprinkle the funny moments throughout the movie too, and then it turns it up. The moment Talos gets involved, once Talos and the Skrulls are all kind of together with Danvers and Fury, the funny just ramps up even further. And we've got some very witty scenes, some very clever scenes, and some very sharp dialogue. Ben Mendelsohn and his subtle acting, just facial acting, very well done. I like that actor. I really like Ben Mendelsohn. And then when it gets in the action sequences, they really go to town. Captain Marvel can throw a punch. She's mean. She can also fly through a spaceship. She is pretty much the one-woman army, as Fury says. And lastly, you got the nice little snippets from the other movies in here. For example, the Project Pegasus base, where Fury and Danvers are running around trying to find information and files. Well, that's where the Avengers movie starts. They start at that base. That's the same base that gets blown up by Loki when he's napping around with the Tesseract. Overall, I'll be giving Captain Marvel an MCU 4. I had a blast, I can't wait for the sequel, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with her throughout the rest of the universe. Well, that's it. I'm out of time. I hope you've enjoyed my review. I hope you're having a great week and you get some time to go and watch a movie. Catch you later.